influx, where pandemics, wars, and climate disasters have eroded the illusion of control. The Virgin's call to prayer, unity, and repentance provides a sense of agency in an era of helplessness. It also underscores a universal truth, that humanity's survival depends not only on technology and policy, but on the intangible forces of love, hope, and faith. As December 1st approaches, the world watches and waits. If the prophesied resignation occurs, believers may interpret it as validation of the Virgin's warnings, galvanizing further spiritual and social action. If it does not, the message's enduring power will likely persist, serving. Prophecy, delivered during an apparition described with visceral clarity, has become a focal point for both fervent hope and anxious speculation. At the heart of her announcement is the startling prediction that a high-ranking European Union leader will resign before December 1st. This leader, whose name Mirjana did not disclose, holds significant influence over EU policies, particularly in areas such as migration, economic reform, and international relations. Analysts have scrambled to identify potential candidates, pointing to figures whose tenure has been marked by controversy, health concerns, or political instability. While skepticism abounds, particularly among secular observers, the timing of the prophecy adds to its gravity. The European Union, already strained by internal divisions over energy policies, post-pandemic recovery, and the ripple effects of the war in Ukraine, now faces the specter of losing a key architect of its current trajectory. For believers, this event is not merely a political shift, but a divine signal, a reminder that human governance is fragile and subject to higher, inscrutable forces. The Virgin Mary's broader warning, as relayed by Mirjana, extends far beyond the resignation of a single leader. She spoke of an impending great purification, a period of suffering and upheaval designed to awaken humanity to its spiritual complacency. Natural disasters, she emphasized, would escalate in frequency and severity. Hurricanes with wind speeds exceeding 200 miles per hour, earthquakes capable of splitting continents, and droughts so profound that major rivers like the Nile and the Amazon would run dry. These events, while often attributed to climate change by scientists, are framed by the Virgin as divine interventions, a manifestation of God's grief over humanity's disregard for His creation and moral law. For the faithful, this reframes environmental stewardship as a sacred duty, a covenant between humankind and the Creator. Geopolitically, the Virgin's message is equally stark. She foretold a breakdown in international cooperation, with nations retreating into isolationism, trade wars erupting over dwindling resources, and conflicts erupting along ethnic and religious fault lines. The European Union, she suggested, would face existential threats as member states prioritize national interests over collective stability. The resignation of the leader before December 1st would act as a catalyst, triggering a cascade of instability that could lead to the redrawing of borders, the collapse of economies, and the rise of authoritarian regimes. This vision resonates with current undercurrents of populism and nationalism across Europe, where leaders like Hungary's Viktor Orbán and Italy's Giorgia Meloni have challenged the EU's liberal consensus. For believers, the prophecy serves as a dire warning. Without humility, repentance, and unity, humanity risks descending into chaos. The spiritual call to action embedded in the Virgin's message has already borne fruit in unexpected ways. In the weeks following Mirjana's revelation, churches worldwide have reported a surge in attendance, with confessionals overflowing and Eucharistic adoration chapels remaining open around the clock. In Poland, where Marian devotion runs deep, bishops have encouraged parishes to organize novenas for peace, 9-day prayer cycles seeking divine intervention to avert disaster. In Latin America, Indigenous communities have merged traditional Catholic practices with ancestral rituals for harmony with nature, interpreting the Virgin's warnings as a plea for ecological balance. Even in secular bastions like France and Germany, interfaith initiatives have emerged, with Jewish, Muslim, and Christian leaders collaborating on joint prayer services and climate advocacy campaigns. Critically, the Virgin's message emphasizes that prayer alone is insufficient. It must be accompanied by concrete acts of mercy and justice. She urged individuals to fast, give alms to the poor, and reconcile with enemies, framing these as essential steps to soften the blows of divine punishment. In response, grassroots movements have proliferated. In India, volunteers have mobilized to plant millions of trees, citing the Virgin's call to heal the earth. In the United States, Catholic charities have expanded their outreach to migrants, linking the Virgin's emphasis on compassion to the crisis at the southern border. For many, the prophecy has become a rallying cry for social justice, reframing activism as a form of spiritual resistance. Yet the Virgin's warnings have also sparked controversy. Skeptics argue that apocalyptic predictions are a recurring feature of religious history, often used to manipulate fear or consolidate power. Climate scientists, while acknowledging the urgency of environmental crises, caution against conflating scientific data with theological interpretations. Even within Catholic circles, debates rage over the authenticity of Medjugorje's apparitions, with some theologians questioning whether Mirjana's visions align with church doctrine. Cardinal Gerhard Müller, former head of the Vatican's Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, has publicly stated that while the Medjugorje messages contain elements of truth, they must be approached with discernment and not equated with official church teaching. Despite these tensions, the emotional and spiritual resonance of Mirjana's prophecy cannot be ignored. For millions, it offers a framework to make sense of a world in flux, where pandemics, wars, and climate disasters have eroded the illusion of control. The Virgin's call to prayer, unity, and repentance provides a sense of agency in an era of helplessness. It also underscores a universal truth, that humanity's survival depends not only on technology and policy, but on the intangible forces of love, hope, and faith. As December 1st approaches, the world watches and waits. If the prophesied resignation occurs, believers may interpret it as validation of the Virgin's warnings, galvanizing further spiritual and social action. If it does not, the message's enduring power will likely persist, serving as a reminder of the need for vigilance, humility, and care for one another. In either case, Mirjana's revelation has already altered the spiritual landscape, challenging individuals and nations alike to confront their mortality and moral responsibilities. In the end, the Virgin Mary's message is not one of despair, but of transformation. She invites humanity to see crisis as an opportunity, to rebuild relationships, restore the earth, and rediscover the sacred. As the world teeters on the edge of uncertainty, her words echo with timeless wisdom. Do not be afraid, trust in my Son, and let your hearts be prepared for whatever comes. Whether viewed as divine truth or symbolic metaphor, this call to courage and compassion remains profoundly relevant, urging us to face the future not with fear, but with faith. The Virgin Mary's prophecy stands as a dual-edged message, both a clarion call to awaken to the spiritual and moral crossroads humanity faces, and a luminous promise of redemption for those who choose to heed its wisdom. At its core, this divine communication transcends mere forewarning. It is an invitation to embrace transformation, to rise above complacency, and to recognize that the trials of our era are not random, but purposeful invitations to grow. The Virgin's words, delivered through visionaries like Mirjana, resonate across time as a timeless plea for introspection, urging individuals and societies alike to reorient their lives toward higher principles. Her prophecy does not dwell in fear or fatalism, but instead offers a roadmap for navigating the turbulence of modern existence, a blueprint for aligning human hearts with the divine currents of love, justice, and peace. In an age marked by rapid technological advancement, environmental degradation, and deepening societal fractures, the Virgin's call to spiritual preparation is more urgent than ever. She implores us to cultivate inner stillness amid chaos, to seek clarity through prayer, and to anchor our lives in virtues that withstand the erosion of fleeting trends. This preparation is not passive. It demands active engagement with the world. It means confronting injustice with compassion, bridging divides with dialogue, and recognizing the sacred dignity in every human being. The trials ahead, whether personal struggles, collective crises, or global upheavals, are not punishments, but opportunities to refine our character, strengthen our faith, and deepen our capacity for selfless service. By embracing this mindset, we transform fear into courage, uncertainty into resolve, and division into unity. The Virgin's vision extends beyond individual salvation to the collective rebirth of humanity. She envisions a world where communities are bound not by convenience or transactional relationships, but by an unshakable commitment to one another's well-being. This future is built on three pillars: peace, rooted in mutual respect; cooperation, driven by shared responsibility; and divine mercy that transcends human limitations. To achieve this, she calls us to dismantle the barriers that separate us, prejudice, greed, indifference, and replace them with bridges of empathy and solidarity. Her message is clear. The power to shape this future lies not in the hands of a select few, but in the collective will of ordinary people choosing, day by day, to live with integrity, humility, and love. Mirjana's revelations amplify this call, emphasizing that spiritual awakening is not a solitary endeavor, but a communal revolution. Her testimony reminds us that the Virgin's presence is not confined to the pages of history or the walls of churches. It is alive, active, and urgently relevant to our present moment. Through Mirjana, the Virgin speaks directly to the challenges of our time: our tendency to prioritize material gain over moral clarity, our addiction to conflict over conciliation, and our neglect of the sacredness of creation. Yet, she also offers hope that even in the darkest hour, the light of faith can pierce through, guiding us toward renewal. This article seeks to ignite reflection and action, inviting readers to become architects of this envisioned future. Consider the implications of the Virgin's words in your own life. How might your daily choices reflect a deeper alignment with peace and mercy? How can you contribute to fostering unity in a world so often fractured by division? The answers lie not in grand gestures alone, but in the cumulative power of small, intentional acts, praying for those who challenge. You, listening without judgment, offering kindness in moments of tension, or advocating for justice in your community. These acts, multiplied across millions, create ripples that reshape the fabric of society. As we stand at this pivotal juncture, let us remember that the Virgin's prophecy is not a passive prediction, but a living dialogue between heaven and earth. It is a reminder that we are never alone in our struggles, that divine guidance is always available to those who seek it with open hearts. By dedicating ourselves to prayer, unity, and compassion, we tap into a wellspring of strength that transcends human limitations. We become co-creators of a world where mercy triumphs over vengeance, where hope eclipses despair, and where the promise of peace is not an abstract dream, but a lived reality. Your engagement with this message matters. Whether through sharing these insights, joining communities committed to spiritual growth, or simply pausing to reflect on the Virgin's timeless wisdom, you become part of a global movement of awakening. Together, we can honor her call not merely by watching and listening, but by acting, believing, and persevering. Let this be the moment we choose to step forward, united by faith and fueled by the conviction that a better world is not only possible, but within our reach. Thank you for watching, reflecting, and participating in this journey. As we continue to explore these themes, we invite you to share your thoughts, experiences, and commitments in the comments below. Your voice adds to the chorus of hope. Don't forget to subscribe and enable notifications to stay connected as we delve deeper into the path of spiritual renewal. Let us move forward together, guided by the light of the Virgin's prophecy, a light that dispels darkness, heals divisions, and illuminates the way to a future filled with divine promise.